going back to pre-season, if we can remember that far back, I think we played a lot of sort of tier 4 teams and maybe even a tier 3 team at some point in pre-season. Was that kind of the idea? Like, let's have a tough pre-season, so we go into tier 5 with this if we can compete with these tier 4, tier 3 teams, then we can compete with tier 5 teams.
Yeah, we're always trying to check the level, see where we are, and to get the gauge. There's no point playing teams you're going to easily beat 6 and 7-0. So we take these tougher games so that we can give the players a chance to prove themselves, and also see where the team is and where we need to strengthen. So yeah, we like to take those challenges on.
And obviously recruitment is so huge, and recruitment's already started now already for next season. How important is it that that's something we get as right as you can?
Well, like you say, this time of year is recruitment. You can see a lot of trialists are out here tonight. I think the first year it was a case of transition, as everyone knows, and we had to move a lot of players out and bring a lot of players in. We had to get bodies on board. Last season was more a case of bringing some more players again, but still seeing how they'd fare, seeing how they would get on at tier 5, seeing what they could do in the league, and we performed better. Recruitment this season is a lot more specific and bespoke, and now we're picking players who we know will perform at this level, rather than hoping a talented player will be able to be up to the mark. So with the foundation coming in now, it kind of helps us be able to do that.
Going back to that sort of opening game, defeat against Ascot, but then after that it was 6 undefeated, 3 clean sheets in that. We were flying, best position in the league. That must have been a really pleasing part of the season.
Yeah, we had a great pre-season, and we started the season really well.
Yeah.
And the new players that we brought in, they really helped us in that early phase. But come the turn, but just before the turn of the year, and obviously with the game starting to get postponed and things like that, we lost a bit of momentum. There's some injuries, all the usual stuff that happens in football, and we lost a little bit of momentum and fitness. So we struggled in that period. We were pitched against the top 2 teams almost, relentlessly. It was Bournemouth, Ascot for a while, and we could never really get our teams into the league. And that's one thing with women's football needs to sort itself out. It needs to be, the way the fixtures are done, it needs to be in a more, in a more equal way. But it seems like
spaced out better.
Yeah. You get grouped into games. It's like your season's defined now by these 3 or 4 games, and other teams seem to be able to get games that are better for their chances of success. So we felt it was a little bit levied against us, but that's just where it's always going to be, and we just have to deal with it.
You mentioned the fixtures there. Do you think it would be more useful to plan if we knew all of our fixtures at the beginning of the season?
100%.
And then obviously things like cup runs and weathers will change. That's just football. But having only our fixtures maybe sometimes, 4 weeks in advance would not be the best planning.
I have to say, it is, this level of football. Now, we're the women's football pyramid. It's regional football. To not be able to plan your season, for me, is terrible. And you are literally at the mercy of what they tell you to do, and what the computer spits out, or whoever's deciding these fixtures, and they're not spaced out properly. So no, it's not good. And obviously, if we could have an idea of the games we had to face, then we can plan accordingly. Everyone can.
Yeah.
It's fair, but it's not really fair when you don't know what games you're playing. And our chairman, we don't have anyone on the league committee or anything like that. We have no eye of it, and some other teams do. So no, I don't think that's fair at all.
I mean, that is one challenge we've had. Another challenge we've had is, while our games have all been here at Burnham, and other sort of 3G, 4G pitches have been great, we've had probably more this season than last season, maybe any season. We've had so many games called off because of bad weather. Do you think there needs to be more availability and more maybe affordable pitches for clubs that maybe don't go down the 3G route because it's too expensive?
I mean, I suppose for a lot of the clubs, they play at their home ground, and we don't want to stop that. It's good women's teams can play at their home ground, and unfortunately, sometimes it's unplayable. that's the way it goes, and that's absolutely fine. But like I said, if you had an idea of your fixtures, I think that would also help as well. But it's all, at the moment, it's a little bit hit and miss. We expect when the weather's bad and we're playing away that we're probably not going to play. And we expect that now. But it's the same for everybody.
You mentioned it a minute ago. The run before Christmas was really, really good. We signed off with a 6-0 win against Milton, and then we came back. And it was more of the next couple of months was a little bit, a couple of wins, couple of losses, a couple of draws. It was a bit more of a bumpy ride, but we touched on it as well. When you've got big gaps in between games with the weather as well, it's not going to help things, is it?
No, and like I say, it was a challenging season. In many ways, one we expected. We ended up where we thought we kind of would be. We wanted to get into the top 3. We always want promotion, of course we do. But realistically, if we could have got in the top 3 place, we'd have been happy with that. And we were only 3 points off it. So the progression is there. It's exactly what we want. And like I said, we're feeling good for next season.
I was comparing and sort of looking at some stats from last season and this season. And last season, there were 4 games that we didn't score in, and we lost all 4 of them. Whereas this season, there was only 2 games we didn't score in, and one of them we got a 0-0. I mean, just from small margins, football sometimes can be just very, very small margins. And, those small margins have definitely improved, at least stats-wise this season.
Well, you have to make that step first, right? And then you can come to the next step. And if you look, I think our last 4 games we've played, we scored 17 goals and conceded 2. So, we've gone through that process of, as you say, tight games, conceding a lot of goals, to now being a lot tighter this season, but ending up with a lot of draws. But games we would have lost last season, to now actually winning these games comfortably with a margin. So, we can only do what we can, and it does take its time.
And some of those games we won, some of the special ones we won right here at Burnham. I'm thinking Maddie Armstrong's last, I don't want to say last minute, last second goal against Penn and Tyne. I think you and your coaches were lining up the penalty takers.
Yeah.
We had the penalty shootout here against Eastleigh, where Ridder scored that weld in. And I mean, Chelsea saved 2 in the shootout and 1 in the game.
Yes.
People might forget about that penalty save.
Which was great.
And Jesse Poulter scoring the winner against Bournemouth here as well.
Yeah.
While we're talking about great victories and things, and maybe a small word on Jessie and her development this year.
Well, I've known Jessie since she was about 14, 15.
Yeah, a long time.
A long time, and it was really pleasing for me. And I spoke to her ex-coach as well at Watford, Jordan, and we both share in that joy to see her doing so well, and for her to get that goal, it was a nice one that I enjoyed, I must admit.
Yeah, and away from Burnham, I think the win that sticks in most people's mind is the one at Ascot in the FA Cup. Ridder's rounding the keeper and popping it away. I mean, that was a special game and a clean sheet against, at that point, a really high up Ascot in the league.
Yeah, I mean, Ridder's had a great season for us, really. It was curtailed by injury, unfortunately. 2 injuries curtailed her season, really, at the turn of the year. But she was fantastic for us from the very first game. And, it was unfortunate that she got injured as she did. But no, she's done really, really well for us. And in that game, she was blistering, wasn't she? The goal she scored to win that game. So yeah, it was great.
Proper striker's instinct.
Yeah.
I feel like this season we've had more injuries than probably twice as many than we had last year. So when you're in that position, I know in the past we spoke about you actually like calling players up from the under-23s and the under-18s. To turn around at the moment and see the talent just chomping at the bit to come up, and then how well that talent has done, that must be pretty pleasing.
Yeah, I mean, 32 players represent the first team this season. That's nearly half of our number. So
it's crazy.
It is. But like I say, we like to give people the chance. And when people are injured, we've recruited really well. And the players that came up this season have done fantastic. No one came up and really struggled. And like I said, a big move for us was moving our under-23s into Tier 6. That was a big move for us. And it paid dividends because the players that came up that we had to call upon had experience at Tier 6, and the jump wasn't, under-18s or Tier 7 to Tier 5. So that really helped us. And like I said, there was a lot of players that broke through this season. Aaron Patterson being one of them. Obviously, Jesse Poulter broke through. I think most recently, Amir Parkin broke through as well. So it was a more of a steady push
through
through.
the under-23s.
Yeah,
then
rather
first team,
than
yeah.
rather than not sure if this player can handle it. They were coming up. Like Mia came from the under-18s, under-23s, and she was ready by the time she came into the first team. So that's the whole idea of it, and the pathway's working as we want it to. Next season it'll be working even better because those players are all geared up and ready to go.
Like they're proving themselves in the JPL,
Absolutely.
then they're proving themselves in
Correct.
Tier 6, and then it's like, well, now it's Tier 5. You've earned the right to be here.
Yeah.
It's not a token gesture. It's a your right to be
and
here.
And they can do it, because they've had all the experience they needed to get to play a tier up. So we've bridged that gap. I think if we can say it like that, we've bridged the gap, and it's really helping us at the moment.
And then some unfortunate news, a couple of coaches that have made a big impact on the club. Short term, Danny, it must be said that a lot of the girls and yourself and the other coaches have really liked having him around. He'll be setting off, and obviously your long-term assistant, Dan Webber. I mean, I don't know what you want to say about Dan. Could go on all day probably.
Yeah. Everyone knows I love Dan, and he's been with me a very long time, but it's a lot of commitment, this football game. And like I say, we're not full-time professionals, but we work. It's like we work full-time. It is like a second job.
It's 3 times a week, isn't it?
Yeah, and the stuff off the pitch as well. So you're talking about 30 hours a week sometimes. And most coaches up and down will tell you the same thing. We're no different. So 5 years he gave me. He gave me 5 years.
Did he promise any less or more?
Well, actually, it was only a year at the time, and I was surprised he just kept staying around.
Couldn't get rid of him.
Yeah, but I've had to give him back to his wife, Jo. Bless her, and I thank Jo for letting me have Dan for that long. But no, he was here on Sunday. It was nice to see him, and he's a friend of mine, and we'll see him again, I'm sure. But he wants to go on and get back with the family and that sort of stuff.
Of course.
I mean, as for Danny, fantastic coach I've known for quite a while, not personally, but I knew the work that he did at Actonians, and it's quite funny actually. I put an ad out for a coach, and at the same time he put an ad out saying he was looking to get back into coaching. So it was snap.
Stars aligned.
Yeah, stars aligned, and look, I brought Danny in knowing that he probably wanted to eventually go back and manage somewhere or something like that. I know that, but I don't mind bringing in other coaches' expertise, freshening things up for the players as well. And Danny did that superbly, and he was only here for a short time, but we had some good times, and we wish him well.
Absolutely. And again, a little bit more change coming as well with the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, sort of aligning themselves with Wycombe Wanderers Women and sort of being together. That pathway that we've already talked about is going to be even stronger through the sort of elite coaching programs. And how exciting must that be to think there might be another whole host of young players and also coaches as well. The coaches that also work for the foundation, and how many people and coaches that can bring to the already existing setup of the club.
It's a super exciting time, and when we were planning the 3 years, it wasn't something that we foresaw. I'll be honest with you, but them coming in, they're a professional outfit, and obviously the people they got behind the scenes, they've got coaches as well, they've got players, they bring a hell of a lot. So for them to come in at this point is a perfect point for them to come in, because it's the point that we really want to go for promotion next season, and without a doubt they can help with that. I mean, Mark was here tonight, Mark Gaskell, and the agreement doesn't start until the 1st of June, but they've been we've been speaking since October. It was all agreed about a month or so ago, and since then, Mark, Kirk, Nick, they've been involved. We're having discussions, we're doing stuff. They're doing stuff now. They're keen. I think they're getting the buzz. Yeah, they're getting the buzz, and you do. Women's football was fantastic, and when you get in, you start thinking, actually, this is there's something we can do here. Absolutely. And I think they feel that, and I think I might be speaking out of turn, but I think for them, I think if they can do something special with the women's team, I think that'd be a real good feather in their cap, alongside the good work they do in the community and obviously with the men's team. But I think obviously being a community-based charity, to do something that's inclusive with the women's team and actually do something real with them, actually help put them into the National League. I think that's a major, I can see it in their eyes, it's a major motivation for them, and they're throwing everything at it, and they give me every support, I have to say. They give me so much support, I can't thank them enough. So, we've got some good things coming down the line.
And if there's potential players watching this or listening to this and they're thinking, that sounds pretty good, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of that. You know, what kind of things do you look for in a potential player? I'm not talking ability wise, but like off the pitch. What do you look for in a player when it comes to applying herself?
Look, we come to family club, yeah, it's a community club, and we like to reflect that within the playing squad. You know, we want good people here. You know, people who with humility, yeah. People obviously want to work hard and want to achieve and all the rest of it, but you know, we want people that are going to be, you know, good teammates, good people in and around the club. And that's not the easiest thing to always find, and that's the balance. But we always go for the character first and the person first, and the football will take care of itself. We are an open door, you know, policy for the club. As I say to you, any young player comes to this club, you can look at Maka, McCartney. You know, she came in 2 seasons ago. As an under 18, 16 years old. She played every game for the first team this year.
And the last game on one leg.
Yeah, one leg. At 18 years old. And then you've got Mia Parkin that's broke herself into the first team. And playing fantastically well. You know, there is no restriction. There really isn't. People, when you say that, people think, well, you know, no, there is no restriction.
It's not just a buzzword, is it?
No, there's no restriction. If you're good enough, you can come and do it, then you can come and play. There's no problem whatsoever. We just want what's best for the club. And, you know, it's a meritocracy, you know, and everyone knows that. The players know it. Sometimes people get a bit shocked when they see it in action. But like I said, if you come down and you know the players and you see what's going on, you'll know it's true and it's in action.
Well, Carl, as always, 2 years in a row we've done this. Yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it again.
Always, as always.
Again, promotion. Let's go for it next season.
Absolutely, 100%. Cheers, nice.